Good morning, Story Trading VIPs. It's time to get back into the routine. We're here every morning, 9 a.m., and we're going to be killing it. It's going into earnings season. In earnings season, you know, we have a great track record of playing these earnings re-ratings plays on news based on our 4 pillars that we think are going to be significant enough to move the market. Before I get started, what is it I want to put up here? Oh, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this banner. All right, first, a little bit about the schedule. It is earnings season. We got Netflix tomorrow after the close. We got Tesla Wednesday after the close. We got Charles Schwab this morning. Wednesday, 4:30 p.m., we have REL CEO, so stay tuned for that. And I'm lining up a whole bunch of CEO interviews for over the next several weeks, so stay tuned. And then starting this Wednesday, every 10:30 a.m., we have Chris Tuttle from SPACVest and IPO Candy. We're going to do a segment called Tuttle Trades. Great fundamental investor who really likes our 4 pillars, and we love that, trying to time markets based on our 4 pillars. So stay tuned for that. And here we go into a regular routine. Be here with us every day at 9 a.m. First, we're looking at the macro look, the bank stocks. Right, my list says bank stocks because that's what's been driving the macro recently. We had Charles Schwab earnings this morning. Honestly, I'm looking through this list, and I don't see any news. The big stuff is out of the way. CPI is out of the way. That, you know, the Fed meeting is out of the way. There's like the next thing that's going to move the market is going to be earnings. So that's the catalyst. Look at the technicals of QQQ and SPY on top of that. And I've been saying for a while, they look bullish. So even though like intermediate term, I'm still kind of worried about a lot of things. I've been saying the technicals look great for QQQ and SPY. Now, it's mostly been led by the mega caps, but some risk assets have been starting to move in the past week as well. So there are opportunities out there, and we're playing them. So let's take a look at our individual stock list. We have 300 stocks we're tracking over here, taking a look at the news flow every morning to find catalysts which can impact sentiment, catalysts which can impact fundamentals. We pair that together with technicals, and we come up with trade ideas. So this morning, well, the news was yesterday. Microsoft, big news. This is really the story of the day. I think it was a New York Times report came out. I'm not even sure if it's in the feed here, but it's a New York Times report. It's somewhere. Here we go. Is Bing the new Google? Samsung devices could ditch Google search for Microsoft Bing. It is there. All right. So this is from a New York Times report yesterday that Samsung is considering switching Google search to Bing. This is huge. It's huge. Let me explain something to you. So far, when we've been talking about Microsoft maybe taking share away from Google, it was speculative, or it was, you know, maybe organically end users are going to organically use Microsoft more. But it's a whole different level, a whole different ballgame when you say Samsung is going to could make Bing the default. That's like something I'm not even sure people contemplated that before. All right. So this is huge news that, you know, on the face of it, I think you get a new 52-week high out of that. You know, just in terms of what's the magnitude of this news. Have people thought about this possibility before? And I would say no. You had a high of 292 here. So I'm forecasting a new 52-week high for Microsoft. And by the way, you can see Google's down. That validates what's going on here. Money rotating out of Google into Microsoft. But here's another one, PERI, which I missed the initial move up because, I don't know, I just didn't do my research, but I think it was... it looks like, I think it was Julian who brought it to our room, or maybe it was Chris, or maybe it was both of them. But in any case, PERI, they flagged this as a Bing play because they have a partnership with Bing. So as Bing gets more market share, there's an ad technology that Microsoft uses, then PERI makes more money. That's the story there. And I missed it. I finally got in at $40.70 this morning. Okay. And I was forecasting a new 52-week high. We're there. The 52-week high is 42.04. We're gapping above the 52-week high this morning. I really wouldn't be surprised to see this at 44 plus today. But, you know, maybe a safer way to play it is look for dips. If there's dips, you buy the dips. Right now I have a sell order at like 43.49. I got in at 40.70. So that's a nice little trade for me. And then I'll buy the dips if it goes down. And Microsoft as well. I'll be looking to possibly buy dips, maybe do some call options. Remember, there's also a levered ETF on Microsoft, MSFU. So that's a way you can play it when the markets are closed and it's extended hours and you want some leverage. You could play with MSFU, although, man, that volume is really low, only 2,000. That's very sad. That would be great if that had more liquidity. But in any case, so you could see this playing out, right? Microsoft, PERI, new 52-week highs, not yet on Microsoft 294. I do anticipate it gets there, and Google going down. But this is the story for the day, right? what happens later today, or Google fights back tomorrow. By the way, there is some Google news too, which is fueling this a little bit. So Google put out plans for their AI integration into Google search. And I'm not sure if this is here. There's an article somewhere about it that came out yesterday. You may be able to find it in our StoryTrading app. But basically, they're saying they are targeting end of 2023 to integrate their AI. So it sounds like Google is behind Microsoft in terms of the timeline. So that may be helping to fuel this move. So Microsoft and PERI up, Google down. Huge story for the day. Another huge story we flagged this morning, BTU, right? BTU, $1 billion buyback plan. Guys, the market cap here is $3.65 billion. So at these prices, theoretically, if they're able to buy it $25, which they can't, they're going to be buying back what 30% of the company, 25% of the company. That's massive. Also, they are maintaining a dividend of 7.5 cents per quarter. What's about 30 cents a year dividend as well, about 1% or so dividend on top of that. So this is breaking, gapping up. I bought this as soon as I heard the news, by the way. Oh, and I already sold it. Yeah, at 28.30. All right, like 26.90 to 28.30. But this is something I'll be looking to buy the dips. Let's go to the technicals. It's breaking above the 50 DMA, breaking above. Let's see weekly. Okay, weekly, breaking above all the key major moving averages. So now I got to look at the candles. What do we have here? You know what? I hope we get a pullback in the morning. I'm not sure we will, but what's the top moving average? We have 26 here, and again, let's look at this here. 27 on the 20 DMA, 27.15. That'll be a nice gap. Maybe we can get 27.15 out of it. Let's look at the pre-market levels. Yeah, between 27 and 27.50, 27.70, somewhere in that area. So I'd be looking to buy pullbacks in BTU as well. BTU, Microsoft, PERI, those are going to be fun to buy pullbacks on. But look, the real way to play this with big money, you want to play it safe. I like selling puts on good news, especially good news. People look at me and say, why would he sell puts when the stock is up? Well, if you believe that news is going to create a higher floor, all right, that's a great time to sell puts, especially because the implied volatility is still going to be very high on a day like today. So those premiums are not going to drop as much as you think on day one of really good news. So BTU is something that we've sold puts on before. And man, the fund I'm getting involved with is going to kick off May 1st. It got delayed from April 17th to May 1st. But man, when we get into that fund, I'm not going to be gambling like I do with my own money. I definitely gamble all the time with my own money. I'm going to be selling options, not buying options. And especially, with bigger money, I'd be happy. Wouldn't you be happy with 5% a month? Yeah, I would, with people's money that I'm managing with millions of dollars. But in my own account, I'm not so happy with 5% a month. I'm aiming for more. But that's the way to play it on BTU. I bet you there's a great contract in here that you can get this. You look at the technical support levels. You say, hey, I'm willing to buy this, 25? Before this news came out, even 23. I bet you, even today after the big move, you can look at those and you can find something gives you an average, an annualized yield of 50 to 60% to buy at those levels. I bet you can find that today. All right. Very interesting. ANIX, we played this like a fiddle last week. I sold at probably over half my shares, probably 60% of my shares. I sold, also sold 50% of my call options. News is coming out today. We don't know exactly what time. The poster presentation is at 1:30 p.m., but there will be a accompanying press release. Again, don't know what time that press release comes out. Could it be 1:30? Could it be in the next 15 minutes before the open? Or it could be at 4 o'clock, 4:30. Maybe it's as late as tomorrow morning. All those timings are possible on ANIX. So this hit all the targets I had. So this was a great event anticipation play that worked out really nicely. But if you get a nice breast cancer vaccine headline, perhaps this is something that can run a couple bucks more, which is why I held some. A new twist to this. It looks like ANIX is a possible Russell 2000 inclusion play. The initial list, I think, comes out April 28th. We're April 17th now. And if they can maintain this market cap of close to 200 million, this can create a secondary wave of buying. So depending on how good this data is, how good this headline is, if we can maintain around $6 here, $5.50 to $6 in the next week or so, we could see a secondary surge of Russell 2000 buying into the next few weeks. So keep that in mind as well. All right. Let's see. By the way, what's the 52-week high on that? 625. And let's go 5 years. And what do we got? Oh, man, what's that candle up there? 8. Man, this really doesn't move much, does it? But it also doesn't go down much because they don't dilute. Good company. All right, let's see. Let's go into a few other things. I'll touch MSOS in a second, but just schedule-wise, Netflix tomorrow after the close, Tesla earnings Wednesday after the close. I'm not making any bets on these until I see the earnings, okay? Rel CEO Wednesday after the close. Now, MSOS, I like this. There's like multiple catalysts. And I've been starting to talk about this over the last couple weeks because there's increasing chatter and increasing movement, not just chatter, legislatively in terms of federal legalization of cannabis. There's an event, I think tomorrow. It's not in this, but it is in the StoryTrading app. Let's see, just in case you haven't seen our latest release. There's a StoryTrading app, and we're going to create a search. We're not there yet. All right, we'll have a search up there so you can easily look up a ticker. For right now, you can see the feed over here with new tickers. Here it is, MSOS. Nice catalyst next week. Okay, here we go. All right, so MSOS, it is, who is it? Schumer to speak at April 20th. There it is. That's what I forgot. So April 20th, Schumer is speaking. And also late last week, there was some bipartisan an effort of new legislation being introduced for legalization of cannabis. So things are starting to move here. And we have resistance at about 570 is a 220 DMA, 570. And then after that, 630. I think both of these are possibly in play as news starts flowing out in terms of progress on the legislation, in terms of that event that Schumer's speaking on April 20th, which is Tuesday, Wednesday. Got to do it on my fingers. I think that's Thursday. All right. That's what we got on MSOS. Laser, continuing to watch this. I do have a position I bought because of the huge call option activity last week. I bought this week's call option. So that's what I do in my personal account. Again, we won't be doing that in a real money account where we're responsible and everything. But Laser, we got the 20 DMA here at 625. And what's the story here? I mean, the Goldman, buy it. Something is fishy. Laser announced a high volume factory begins building sensors. I think that was the news someone bought the huge call options on. So this came out Thursday. Okay. This is post the Mercedes Benz news, multi-billion-dollar contract with the Mercedes Benz. Goldman Sachs twice in like a month saying sell, price target 450, because one day their margins might drop because there's some little $100 million microcap company out there. It just seems so fishy. And when I look at this 28.5% short position, I gotta wonder if there's someone not being so honest there at Goldman Sachs who may be trying to help out somebody who may be short this stock. It just doesn't make sense to me, their thesis, and to be so vocal about it with a price target. It's overvalued by 20%. Come on. I mean, there's so many other companies out there that are more overvalued. So I'm continuing to watch Laser, Lazar, Luminar Technologies, and I still have the $6 calls for this week, which I might lose on. Definitely not something I'd recommend. That's if you're a gambler with your own money, which I know a lot of people are. Shouldn't be, but a lot of people do that. All right. So then we got RUM. I really like this after good news, after good news, after good news. The most recent good news is that they're going to be the exclusive streaming provider for the first Republican national debate, the primary debate. Exclusive streaming. That's pretty huge. And I imagine they'll be on the debate the stage as well with a lot of Rumble advertising. So that's really great. And that's just happening after they're signing on creator after creator after creator and maintaining like a top 12 position in Apple app rankings. They have a 4-year cash runway. They beat the revenue by 100% over the estimates. I mean, things are looking really good for Rumble, but it is fairly to richly valued. Let's call it, it is richly valued, right? You can maybe make an argument for fairly because of their high growth rate and their big cash runway. But I don't think this is a stock that's going to $5 or $6 anytime soon. So the way to play this one, again, is selling puts. The responsible way to play this one is selling puts. You're going to get high premiums and annualized yields on that. All right, just a couple others quickly that I want to touch on. ASUR, I think, is still in play, although I did sell almost all of my trading shares on this last week. I wanted to pocket those gains. You can see a big surge above the 20 DMA. You know, maybe I'll get lucky with a pullback towards the 20 DMA, but this is definitely a Russell 2000 inclusion play. They will unless something really bad happens next week or so. I mean, they are going to be included, and they'll be on the initial list on April 28th. So ASUR looking really good, and I anticipate further upward momentum. I just wanted to pocket some gains, maybe get lucky and buy on a pullback. BABA's up along with all Chinese stocks ahead of some Chinese GDP report. I don't know. The whole Hong Kong market was apparently up, so that's great. BABA, I'm still in this. This was hard to play if you're trying to day trade this last week. This red line really may have shaken some people out, but this level here at 92.06, holding that gap, and then what's this level here? The open at 95.30. Yeah, 95. See that 95 was really important. May have shaken people out on these two candles. Thankfully, I didn't do anything. I'm still holding my shares. I also have call options, which I don't recommend. But anyway, BABA still holding this here. Now it's above the 20 DMA. We'll see what happens. Gold, I'm still holding that. Common and stock options, mostly because of my worry about what could happen with the US dollar, or the perception of what could happen with the US dollar. Just a couple other things I want to mention. Talk has been strong. Had a couple higher volume strong days the last 3 days. I don't see any news driving it, but it's right at the 50 DMA. Perhaps watch this. If it breaks the 50 DMA, maybe it can make a move towards this 200 DMA. I'm not going to rehash the whole story here. You guys know it. It turned out to be a little bit of a dud. The earnings report was not as optimistic as the comments the CEO made at the healthcare conference, a month or so prior to the earnings. I was a little bit disappointed on that. I did pair my position. I still own some. And if we break the 50 DMA, maybe we can make a move higher. AIAD, we talked about that a lot, the stock a lot before, and I missed this. I didn't miss it. I mentioned it in the room, but I didn't push it on the show at all. But 3 days ago, I guess it was this day here, on April 11th, they said they got a $5 million equity investment. There it is. And I just didn't have time to look into. I think when I mentioned, I'm like, hey, we got to look into the terms. Maybe it was on a post-market wrap. I forgot when I mentioned it, but I'm like, yeah, we got to look at the terms of this deal to know what the pricing is and the dilution and all that. I didn't have time to look into it. If you look at here, it does say premium, the word premium to yesterday's closing price of AID's common stock, but there's probably other dilution there. I really didn't look into it, but then on a 2-day delay after the news, the thing just exploded 60%. So that's just on my radar. I'm not making any trades or predictions or anything, but that's an interesting story. Anytime in this market cycle, let's just, I was about to biotricity. Look at the last one's biotricity. Look at it go, 41%. There might be news there. The market we're in, and I call it the credit crunch phase, or fear of credit crunch phase. And you're seeing a lot of the price action is based on, do companies need to raise money or not? And are they going, if they do need to raise money, is it going to be dilutive financing? Is it going to be toxic financing or not? So these are the catalysts that are moving risk assets and microcaps. So if you see news out that a company was able to raise money, straight equity with no warrants, or they're able to raise at a premium, things like that, that's really, really bullish, because what has been being priced in for these risk assets is this fear that either these companies will go bankrupt, or they're going to dilute you into oblivion because they're going to have to raise money on really bad terms. That's what's driving a price in microcaps and even larger cap risk assets. So keep that in mind and be aware of any companies in that situation that may need to raise, and you're going to understand why it's heading lower, and you might want to take some action about that. But on the flip side of that, the converse side of that, when you get news like AIAD possibly did there of raising equity at a premium, which might be the case, I'm not sure. These headlines are sometimes deceiving. You got to go look at the filings. But if you do get news like that, that's a massive catalyst. And there's many companies we can think of, whether it's GoEV or LLAP or XXII or Drio, stocks like that, that if they do get financing on good terms, you can probably expect those stocks to really do very, very well. And biotricity, I noted this this morning, and there's huge volume. Something's probably going on. I don't see the news, but I bet you there's news out there. So let's just, I don't know what's going on. All right. I don't know the story, but look at that, gapping above the 50 DMA. If someone finds out what's going on, let us know, and then we can make a judgment, a determination if it's something worth buying pullbacks on. And with that, that's all I got. But let's just quickly look, see if anything came out between 8:55 a.m. MTB. That's another bank that reported. JP, all right, that's it. All right, good. So, all right, if you're with me sitting and you got those notes on Microsoft and PERI, I also put it in the Story Trading app. I'll try to use that more and more, the VIP trading chat and Story Trading app. If you got that, then you did well on PERI already, Microsoft, and BTU pulling back. All right, so good luck, guys, everyone. Let's keep the collaboration going. Can't do it without you. I'll see you soon.